So yeah, just start things off. Just for those who are unfamiliar with PAC protocol, Drew, can you give people a real simple explanation for exactly what PAC protocol is?
Yeah, absolutely. My simple explanation on PAC protocol, it comes down to the core roots of what blockchain was really intended to be. It's a decentralized alternative for many different technical aspects. There's obviously the aspect Bitcoin brings to the table, and many other that are going towards the same avenue, such as Dogecoin, et cetera, as a currency or a store of value. I know there's a difference between the two, but as PAC protocol likes to address blockchain as a scaling agent for multiple networks, not only for PAC protocol and the features that are indebted into the code that we have, but also the scaling nature of PAC protocol has allowed the network to grow to over 18,500 globally decentralized masternodes. And what's so important to that is that if you were to actually compare that number versus, very well-known blockchains out there and look at their full node count, a lot of them are still scaling and growing. And, that's commendable. And that's something that PAC protocol likes to tout about our network as growing to extreme levels very quickly. But also it's a protocol that allows other blockchain products to scale on top of PAC protocol if wanted to. Not only that, can projects reach out and try and find ways to integrate inside PAC protocol's network for scalability, but it also allows network users to decide to help decentralize other products if they are agreeable to the masternode owners. And that's something that is the people's choice to do something, and that's kind of the nature of blockchain. And what we want to keep presenting PAC protocol as is the ability to scale other networks. The ability to scale other products. And that is going to be something that's noticed in a lot of our upcoming products that we have. First and foremost is one of our IPFS software releases called yanDNA. A very similar comparison to this would be a modern, usage of Dropbox. But what's so important about this product and the future use of it is using IPFS as the database, as a decentralized database instead of central servers. And that's something that we're trying to showcase because it's a very important and very easy to understand method to show how PAC protocol's masternodes can decentralize and scale products that are meant to be for blockchain security and other needs.
And we'll elaborate on that more when we talk about use cases later in the AMA. But just to keep things simple and to keep rolling with some of these questions from the community, I'm going to jump in here. And one of the questions was, David, what have you seen for growth and for changes in the PAC protocol community in the last year?
Oh, we've grown tremendously. The community has, first of all, I always say this. You can build a phenomenal product, but without the community, it's nothing. And from the time that I've come on to PAC till now, we've doubled in size, I would say, and our community is extremely passionate about our ecosystem, extremely educated about our ecosystem, and they're more than happy to help anybody that is interested in PAC protocol. So I'm truly, first of all, I'm humbled and I'm excited about the growth that we've seen.
That's awesome. Drew, for those who have seen the name change from PAC Global to PAC Protocol, can you give an explanation and the mindset behind that?
Yeah, so it was really just a simple matter of trying to, make it obvious that, it's PAC Protocol is a blockchain open source network. It's an open source project. And PAC Global, that's the name of our development company. So we wanted to avoid confusion of, there's been miscommunications in the space, and I know a lot of people follow the SEC and Ripple case, and not to get into that, but we just wanted to show the difference between that PAC Protocol is an open source project. Anyone can be building on top of it, not just ourselves as PAC Global, a company, a development company, which, we pride ourselves in building on top of PAC Protocol and being there from the beginning and, providing the different products and wallets and services that we have and are attempting to do. But that was really the main course for that, also to help with the branding on it, not necessarily putting, so much emphasis on our company as, what we're doing as development, but also recognizing that PAC Protocol on its own, regardless of the future of PAC Global as a company, PAC Protocol will always, continue to prosper on its own as an open source blockchain project supported by decentralized nodes.
Very good. One of the other questions here from the community is, how will taxes affect PAC Masternode payments?
Could you repeat that?
How will taxes affect PAC Masternode payments? I guess that's more of a general cryptocurrency question.
Yeah, I mean, I would answer that the same way someone, have asked in the past about, how do you report your gains on taxes? If, your cryptocurrency are considered gains, as income, then that's your personal thing as far as making sure you report what your actions are when you're filing your taxes. So, I mean, that's definitely a general cryptocurrency question, but my answer to that is just the same thing as if it's gains or income, it's something that you're, responsible for and making sure that you report it. And it's also whatever taxes, whatever country, it's their responsibility to make it very clear on what you need to be doing. So I know a lot has been miscommunicated or really hard to understand out there for a lot of people. But it's one of those things where, make sure that you're on the up and up on your side, reporting any income as income, and you should be perfectly fine.
Yeah, and if people have general questions like that, they can always DM us or jump into our Discord, where we can get very quick, concise answers for these sort of things. And something like that, different answers for different regions that we may not be able to comment on, but that's a good answer there. The next question here from the community.
By the way, I want to just give a huge shout out to Yan. He's in here. I wanted to give him a little shout out.
Yeah, everyone, we are such huge fans of Yan. Man, he works so hard.
Yan the man.
Well, explain that right there, Drew. The props to Yan with naming the products after him. We don't see a lot of companies or projects do that. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, that's something I would agree with that. I mean, I feel a lot of times creators lose creation rights as things become more mainstream or popular. They kind of get under noticed, and that's something that I mean, at least me personally, I talked to Yan about it first to make sure he was cool with putting his name on stuff, but it's something that to show that it's a respect thing. Our team works amazing together. How we've been able to do things as quickly as we can. But they've still been at rapid speeds considering, the space and the ups and downs that crypto brings with it. But we stick through it. We're a good team. We consider us a pretty close family as far as, all that goes. And, it's props to the developers that put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and time into the products that we do. Not only trying to, make visions come true of what we want, but also taking the notes that we take in from, community members and things like this, where we start to learn a little bit more of what people expect from us or in the future or what they'd like to see. And not always is it something that we can turn around right away, but, Yan's one of those developers that really pays attention to that stuff and wants to include it in the products that we deliver. And, we have that same mindset as well. So we've worked together very well, and we're super happy and appreciative of him being on this team and being such a dedicated worker and developer for PAC Global.
So with the migration and changes through different products, the community obviously is familiar, as things started with PAC app and then progressed and released PAC Safe, which has been renamed now as Yan Safe, so that everything aligns properly. Now, what can you tell the community about yanDNA, which is going to be upcoming and released soon?
So yanDNA actually is already in, I call it alpha test stage, internal testing. Basically, the entire IPFS network that is going to be running yanDNA, the IPFS software, it was designed specifically to be able to scale over the current PAC PAC Masternode network. That way, those that are already running a PAC Protocol Masternode, they don't have to change their server resources if they don't want to. It can easily scale over the current network requirements. And so, yanDNA is one of those products that we're excited to get in front of people's eyes. Currently, right now, we have the UI for it. We actually got our white paper and our roadmaps and some other documents that we've put out there for public viewing, but also for internal testing for kind of sending point A to point B kind of thing. And we're excited about it. I mean, I don't know really how to explain it without getting too technical as far as, the inside capabilities of it. But if you know what IPFS is, to put it simple, it's a decentralized database. It's like being able to store information on a central server, but it's not a central server. It's like thousands of them combined together to accumulate data storage. So as you can imagine, as the PAC Global Masternode Network PAC Protocol Masternode Network has continued to grow, so has the IPFS software, as the users have the ability to install it on top of their node to contribute resources, contribute more data space. This grows the overall decentralized storage space. And I've seen questions before, so I'll kind of hint on them as, well, how do we know how much space there is? That's all going to be included internally in the application that we release in the platform. But also, it's not something that's limited. A lot of people have mentioned, there's only X amount of storage being included for the original, for the initial release of yanDNA, which is 500 megabytes of decentralized data storage per installation. So, I mean, if you want to do quick math on that, assuming every single PAC Masternode decides to support this, which may or may not be the case, it'll give you a grand overall number of what, as the initial download of 500 megabytes would accumulate for how much data storage there is. That's not an entire lot. The reason for that is to get the scaling aspect of it started. The smaller the requirements to scale a network, the better. It increases it. It allows it to be put into use, even if it's just small usage at first. But as it grows and as more different partners that we've been in contact with, and different white label solutions that we may be progressing in the future for different use cases needing data storage using IPFS, server requirements can be changed by each user if they choose, meaning they can choose to support more, provide more data storage as a resource. That can be done on each individual PAC Masternode if they choose to. So really, the amount of data storage is theoretically endless, all depending on the use cases brought to this network and how much is being used. And that's something that we're very active in, is pursuing the different industries that have the same common problems as centralized storage not being a real good private secure place to store data. I mean, we've all seen the reports of different financial institutes getting hacked. Most recently, one down in my area here in Texas, there's a pipeline that was hacked, causing some fluctuation in gas prices. There's things and problems that continue to happen due to centralization. And that's something that we're attempting to resolve and make better for everyone, but in a way that's understandable and usable by everyone, not something to where you need to have blockchain technological capabilities or know-hows to use it. Something to where it can be plugged in and implemented in many different ways. Distribution of content, limiting supply of your content, owning your content, and it all being secure on your own decentralized IPFS network.
So David, when you look at the use cases here, and this is what a lot of people are asking about, use case. We ask that across the whole blockchain industry. When you think about yanDNA and businesses, API feeds, celebrities, people who want secure data, how much buzz do you hear about that in the industry?
Buzz about use cases, what I talk about constantly, or buzz
Use
about PAC?
cases, use cases, and data security.
Well, it's a big subject. I mean, like, we talk about it all the time, and I talk about it a lot in the spaces. I mean, I want my stuff to be protected. Like, I don't want my stuff being leaked. We've seen like celebrities have their photographs leaked out there to the general public. Like, I want to make sure that I'm putting my stuff on something that is going to protect my personal data, and I also don't want certain companies selling my data. So, like, this is extremely important, and that's why I harp on it a lot when I'm in these spaces. um, but that's why I'm happy that we have Drew up here today, and that's why I'm happy that we're talking about PAC protocol and what we bring to the table.
So, Drew, can you explain that further? If someone stores data on the yanDNA network, why can that not be sold? Why can that not be accessed by third parties?
The simple explanation for that would be, make a comparison to why choose blockchain or cryptocurrency for a store of value. People choose that, the argument of, I am my own bank, I am my own manager, I'm the only one with access, I'm the only one with the keys. The same kind of scenario when it comes to your data is if you're going to use a third party to store your data rather than host it yourself or be a part of a blockchain decentralized network that is combined hosting it, the centralized part of it, as I just mentioned, there's been many reports of hacks, and it's always going to be susceptible to hacks if there's always a central point to hacking attempts and trying to steal data because there's money in data. There's the aspect of different applications, accumulating what you search for, what you shop for. That all gets turned over to a lot of marketing, a lot of ways your data gets used and abused. And so if you're part of a decentralized aspect of storing your data and you're the one in control of it, that now means that you're in control of how your data gets monetized if you choose it to be monetized. Not everything is, or needs to be put out to the public. There's reasons to store private data, private information, and putting it on a decentralized blockchain-based network really adds a ton to the security, full encryption, and also your keys, your data, your keys, your crypto kind of comparison. So that's my main reason, why we're a huge advocate for decentralized storage, why IPFS was a perfect fit for PAC protocol and the decentralization of the Masternode network already, of how vast it is. And that's the main thing for me, as David mentioned, is if I'm going to have data be submitted to anything, whether it's private or public, like a social media network or whatever, I want to be knowing what's happening with my data. I want to know who has access to it, if I even want people to have access to it. And that's a lot of unanswered questions when we sign up to a lot of different accounts or a lot of different social media accounts. I don't want to name drop any of them, but do you really know where your data goes, what you search for, what you like, where your comments are stored, where your videos and pictures are stored? If one of the popular social media applications were to go under, would you have access to everything that's holding your pictures and videos that are currently storing it? Or where do they go? Do they get deleted? There's a lot of unanswered questions in a lot of mainstream apps these days, and we're trying to solve them.
So, David, from your perspective, we're talking.
No, George is coming up here, so go ahead. I mean, you can go ahead and ask that question. I just want to make sure if George's audio is working.
I'm here. I'm here, guys. I'm sorry, I did not hear the question from Ross.
Hold on just 1 second, George. I just wanted to see if your audio is working. You can hear me too, right?
Yes, I'm on.
Perfect.
And I can hear you.
This is George Tyler, who is the COO and the co-founder of PAC Global. We're excited to have you on board here. Ross, go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting you with your question.
Yeah, let's get a question here for George. So, George, when you see the response from partnerships that we have, and they want to leverage the PAC protocol network, what is your perspective from that? What has that response been like in the last few months?
Yeah, great question. Thank you, Ross, and hello to the community. I'll premise the answer to that by telling you that, having this resurgence, and I say resurgence, not surgence, of NFTs. NFTs, for those of us who have been in this space developing since day one, NFTs are nothing new. We've been dealing with such for years and years and years, probably almost the entire decade. But this current boom and noise about NFTs belies a problem, and that issue is the absolute fragmentation and the inability for the industry to technically be able to, store properly NFTs, for example. I'm just sticking to that as a topic. So, NFTs being stored on any network, you can own the hash and know where that NFT is. But then there's another problem regarding its metadata and who has custodianship of such. And these problems are going to be coming down the pipeline soon when the dust settles, and you will be seeing massive losses financially related to NFTs. So, with that said, the industry needs, at this point, we've kind of gone through a period of, here's a bunch of great ideas, great products, great layers and protocols. But what we now need is we need to galvanize the industry. We need to be able to take it, add more horsepower. And, we've spent years now, and Drew and I were very keen, and our community has seen that the brand shift and the pivot we have done as a brand is so that we provide enterprise level solutions for the industry. What we're really aiming for, so PAC Protocol becomes an entire ecosystem, right? What we want to do is we want to have, whether you are a network that uses us or an end user that's using us for running nodes, helping us support the network, and or supply in any data storage solutions, which is coming up soon. We want to make sure you come into this network and don't necessarily leave the network. And within this ecosystem is the ability for us to be vendor neutral, to have multiple layers, multiple solutions, so that we can help scale. And that is kind of the big elephant in the room. And a lot of people are probably upset about the recent noise made due to Elon Musk as anti proof of work, diatribe he put out. But he's got a great point, and that is a big problem. And nobody in crypto has really wanted to face up to it. Everybody's been drunk with trying to have their gains financially and this and that. And it's human nature. We can't get away from that. However, that is a problem. Proof of work is a problem. Not to say that solutions are necessarily that it must pivot away from POW, but this is shedding light on reality. Reality has now hit us in this space, and that reality is: do we want to remain in the fringes and have these incredible solutions and decentralizations and have these amazing outcomes that are philosophically sound and morally and ethically, and we get into virtue of libertarian ideals of who controls what. Now, data, as David just spoke, data ownership in Web 3.0 is absolutely going to be taken back. Custodianship of data needs to be yours, and we've started that in healthcare. We started that for in other industries. And we're bringing it directly to private people and consumers at that grade. So IPFS will really help us uh, finish that crossover into primarily what are we doing with IPFS? Well, we're moving away from HTTP. We're moving away from a URL linking to a specific location of data centralized, and we're having it either pinned or using any other protocol where we know where it's located and replicated across multiple nodes. So with that said, it's we're trying to cater and please to the and bring to fruition the sort of philosophical solutions of like, okay, well, I should own my data. Everybody probably agrees with that, but there's a technological uh, sort of hurdle that PAC Global as a company, vis-a-vis PAC Protocol, the network, we're looking to solve, and that is adding scale, adding TX, adding speed, adding the ability to transact, adding the ability to shard, adding the ability to replicate data and safely, store it. So that is the brand ID. That is what we are as a company and as a brand. What this network is doing. We are open to any and all. We look to work with the entire blockchain and distributed networks out there, and even with IPFS and Filecoin, their protocol labs was the first to start getting in and do this, and we're all one team. Everybody who's trying to bring IPFS to fruition is one team. We're fighting the same battle, and this battle is going to be victorious very soon, and it's going to be an incredible time coming where ultimately custodianship of data and who owns what. Even if you're a business and dealing with NFTs and any other things, exactly where they are, where they're stored, and how to retrieve them. And there's no mystery about that. So it's very exciting. Sorry, Ross, I went off on a tangent, but the noise and the people knocking on our door type thing does not come at a surprise to Drew and I. Drew and I have been working for years and years, building up PAC to this level, and we were building these solutions. So none of it comes at a surprise. We knew that the industry was going to need help. Um, and we're here to provide that help today. So it's very exciting, and I'm going to tell the community there's a lot in store. There's a lot of things coming up. We're not going to get into the dropping rumors and doing that mill. That's not what we're here to do. But we have an amazing amount of incredible partnerships and specifically enterprise solutions coming online.
Appreciate that, George. I just wanted to mention real quick, this is not financial advice. Again, I'll repeat it. This is not financial advice, just a Q&A.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing we want to remind the community. A lot of people always want to get into charts and all this stuff. We are a data network. We're here to provide technical solutions to this industry. And of course, there is the elephant in the room, being that these are digital assets. They're appreciable, probably. There is arguably intrinsic or non-intrinsic value, and at the end of the day, but that's not what we focus on. It's not what PAC does. PAC is a network. Everybody who subscribes to our network, selectively chooses to support this network, and in turn, you are, and I say this for people new to Masternodes. And what is a Masternode? Well, in a nutshell, you run your own server. You subscribe to our network and help support it, and in turn, the network compensates you in some form of reward for helping us run the network. So the financial aspects and things like that, investment, these are not areas we deal with. This industry is flooded with things that are focused on that. That's not what this is. We are providing solutions for enterprise. Our Radiologics was a big hit in the health IT space as a bona fide blockchain project. And full disclaimer, I am involved with Radiologics. And the reason we've been a hit is because it provided an immediate solution that works. And PAC Protocol as a network supports Radiologics. So right now we have about 2,100 nodes, which is not part of the PAC Protocol decentralized network in whole, but privately owned 2,100 nodes of PAC Protocol are, as we speak, supporting medical image data. Like medical image data, DICOM image data for those from the healthcare field, are being stored and retrieved and viewed and reported on, and both technically and clinically, and that is happening as we speak on the PAC Protocol network. And these are the things that are the most exciting that goes on. And these are the things that we're excited about, not any financial aspects and investment things. Following this, we will be, we are moving into other industries who have come to us to provide.
George, we have to just jump back into some of the questions for the AMA, if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So Touching on one of the topics there that you mentioned, George, which was really good. We have a number of questions on this. Drew, I'd like to ask, what is your perspective of proof of work, Bitcoin mining, other cryptocurrencies that mine versus proof of stake, which PAC Protocol runs on? Do you think that these will continue to run congruently beside each other, or do you think one or the other will take hold of the industry?
I think it definitely would be a congruent factor. I mean, proof of work definitely has a lot of questions that are being raised right now, hot topic. But a lot of the resources that are required for proof of work that make it an energy hoard or whatever you want to call it, really depends on the algorithm that's running the proof of work. They can be improved to where not as much energy is required. The blocks aren't as difficult, things like that. But it was kind of touched on earlier that the reason why things are delayed or aren't really noticed is, when proof of work change, such as Bitcoin, becomes such a valuable, market to compete in. That's really the first thing that people are looking at is, I want to mine Bitcoin. I want to make money off of it. I don't care how much hash or energy I got to do, as long as I can try and turn a profit. And the same will go with any other proof of work chain where you have to provide resources to mine. Same goes with proof of stake, though. I mean, it's not that no resources are required. There are definitely resources that are required. And depending on the algorithm and depending on the difficulty set within the internal code of how it adjusts, how it doesn't get too high, how it doesn't get too low, kind of things like that, to keep it stable and fair for everyone is the main question. That's why we're a fan of what we run, proof of POS version 3. So if anyone wants to look at that, it's POS version 3. That's the algorithm that PAC Protocol runs for proof of stake. And we switched from proof of work to POS because the way that proof of work was working for us, the algorithm, the difficulty, whether or not it was attractive or not, really put a tamper on whether or not the blocks moved as advertised, as average, which is for PAC 2.5 minutes per block. So it really depends on the algorithm, on what chain and how the chain is being used. If it's being used as a store of value, you may see the competition for proof of work type mining increase, which is the case with Bitcoin and others related. So that's a question for each project to figure out on their own which direction they're wanting to go in, and then steer it.
That's a good answer. And it's interesting too, because, everyone can try to predict what will happen in the future with proof of work or proof of stake. But what I see with PAC is that we adapt as things change in the industry, which is huge, very important. And that ties into a question that we have here again from the community. What about Doge? David, you've had a lot of questions, a lot of integration with Doge community. What are your thoughts?
Can you repeat that question? What about Doge in terms of
relation to PAC?
Well, we've already said that we would love to go ahead and help expand Doge's network. And I'm going to throw this back to Drew again. I know, Drew, I'm sorry, Drew. I know that you've been talking the entire time, but this is good because I want you out here in the public. People have been asking.
Oh, no,
for you to
no
come out
problem.
here.
No problem.
I really want, I've been talking about, helping Doge, grow. We've been talking about the adoption that it's been able to bring to this space, helping, just new people that have always wanted to onboard themselves into cryptocurrency. Doge is that platform right now where, you come into a non-toxic environment. There's no tribalism. You have a bunch of people just helping you get into this space. And then, from then on in, people decide whether or not, they just want to keep Doge or they can go into other cryptocurrencies. But to me personally, being that it's been talked about, we've stated that we'd go ahead and help, build out that network. So I'll leave that to you to go ahead and further elaborate on. But, I've talked about this multiple times in these spaces.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first things that we did pretty quickly, once we were finally able to catch up on some of the development that we were doing for PAC Protocol, One of the things that we did was we deployed a full node for Doge, which is a simple thing, is making sure that your server has the right requirements and it's connected to the network for the time allotted. Most recommended is all the time, so 24/7. And this kind of rung a few bells for us when we decided to do that. Not only for Doge, but we also deployed one for a validator for XRP and a validator for Flare. But the same bells for each network, depending on the scaling nature of it and et cetera. But anyways, for Doge, what we noticed is that with 24/7 uptime required or recommended, it's the same kind of requirements obviously needed for a PAC Protocol Masternode. The point of that is so that each server is basically guaranteed to be online 24/7, at least guaranteed for if you're wanting to actually benefit from supporting PAC Protocol, receive the rewards that the network incentivizes you to do, which could then be used to accumulate enough PAC to set up another Masternode, or whatever means that you want to use the PAC for, either internal utility use or exchange trading, whatever, that's your decision. But how this goes in line with Doge is, Doge needs to obviously scale its network as well. Like every network has full node lists or validator lists. And these validators and node lists are absolutely critical to making sure that transactions are validated, making sure that transactions are being approved by the network as legitimate. You can have a long conversation of how it can compare into preventing 51% attacks and things like that. But the greater need is just the decentralization of it. If you only have a small amount of nodes or small amount of validators doing the job, it's pretty easy to figure out, I guess, locations of who's running the nodes, IP addresses of the full nodes, attempt to disengage the nodes, bog them down, cause problems, DDoS attacks, things like that, just to try and interrupt the network. And for networks like Doge, where they've done an amazing job becoming global, being recognized everywhere and across many different industries, it's great to have a decentralized user base and a massive global one at that. But you need to then look at the internal part of the network, and it needs to be decentralized as well. And that's something that PAC Protocol has done and accomplished as far as our Masternode network, which are aka full nodes with an incentivized program behind them, has grown to 18,500 and counting, probably higher. That's just the last count that I've looked at. And that's something that Doge can easily do as well. That's something that Bitcoin can do, Ethereum can do, even those, they have thousands and thousands of nodes. Don't scrutinize me if I'm wrong, but the last time I looked for Ethereum and Bitcoin of how many full nodes they had, it was about 9,000 to 12,000, something like that. And Doge has a ways to go to come up to that point. And the main thing that stops this from happening is, like I said, you need the resources to be able to host a full node. And resources are not cheap. They require a specific server that has those resources readily on hand, 24/7 available. But that's something that PAC Protocol has scaled significantly fast on, is because the requirements to do so for PAC are very low. So what we can do with Doge is, with our yanSafe application, our product that was previously named PACsafe, with the one-click, very quick installation, auto installation using Vultr APIs to get Masternodes online quickly for even those with limited technical capabilities. We plan to add multiple different digital assets to this. We plan to start with the most obviously recognized ones that need, not necessarily need, but would benefit the most from decentralizing their full nodes, allowing people the ability to do so quick and easy without the technical know-how. But what's important about PAC Protocol and Doge's connection here is that with a already stable 18,500 plus decentralized full node network, adding something like Doge to all of these people that are either using yanSafe or know of yanSafe or already running a PAC PAC Protocol Masternode, they can easily then install that on top of their currently used server if they increase the required resources for this. So what it does is, if you look at, the architectural structure of it, you have a network that's already globally decentralized in a massive way, considering full nodes, and that's PAC Protocol. And then you have a lot of projects and blockchain products that need to also scale to a very significant point, thousands and thousands of nodes, to where there is no more risk of, certain servers being dropped, to where you see stalls in the chain, which happened, I believe, last year on Stellar, where their network stalled because the validator list, it basically died. There wasn't validators live to approve transactions. And so that's something that's needed, and something that Doge can be benefited from PAC Protocol's Masternode network, to be able to immediately integrate with that Masternode network list and size, and gradually continue to grow and be more decentralized with more full node support.
David, you had a question?
You can go ahead and pass it along to, you can go continue to George, I guess, with the next question. And just
Sure. So George, we've had an influx of inquiries from the entertainment industry, and quite aggressive solutions that are wanted. What are your thoughts that you can share without really disclosing too much about what's being worked on?
Yeah, great question, Ross. Thank you. And these are some of the solutions that the listeners really want to understand. For example, before I jump into the enterprise side stuff, we're talking about being able to support NFTs in that industry, especially when you're talking about exactly where and when the metadata and custodianship of such. Secondly, my previous my comrade here, Drew, was just speaking about the support for Doge, and that will have almost push button ability down the line if you're a Doge holder, or running nodes for any other POS type of projects, and you could run those automatically on our chain, and those are really exciting. As far as enterprise, we have, like I said, we started with healthcare, and there's no bigger titan in the world than healthcare, due to the fact that they are in closed silos. They're very difficult to work with. There's a lot of privacy considerations, encryption considerations, regulatory considerations. So we started there, and we've been doing that for about 2 years already. 2 years of testing our network and storing medical secured medical data. We also are ebullient to announce that we have been approached by the entertainment industry, and currently, as I say this, we are already testing, the ability to store, transfer, and distribute media content and entertainment content for the entertainment industry. And the last one that we are already engaged with is, and tentatively will probably be called yanDNA Legal, which is a private but enterprise solution for the legal industry. We got approached by one of the largest law firms in the U.S. That are looking for a safe solution for both communication, collaboration, and data storage. And so, just these alone giants, I can affirm that we're in the trenches and working with and developing the solution for.
That's a great one. I'm excited about that. I think the entire team is excited about that people obviously see what our ecosystem can bring to the table. So that obviously we can't talk, or I won't talk much about that, but really excited about what our team and what our ecosystem is able to do for people. I have this question for you, Drew. So this is a question that I get from the community constantly. How can people build on PAC Protocol? That's my first, and then I'm going to hit you with the second.
Absolutely. I mean, PAC Protocol is an open source network, open source project. I mean, it takes the ability to have something that you want to be able to scale and grow across a network. Whether or not you want to use the PAC internal capabilities of transactions and different things such as instant send, features that we've obviously adopted from Bitcoin Core and then Dash as well. But even if you weren't wanting to use those and you just wanted to scale a project across the Masternode decentralization aspect of it, that's very easily done. I mean, it just comes to, being able to first submit your idea to, the PAC Protocol Masternode owners, because they are the ones that officially would be the ones that scale your product. I mean, that's not something that just happens. It has to be adopted. It has to be installed across these servers. And that comes, trust from the community, trust from your product, and also whether or not it's a good one or not, if they like it. I mean, that's why we love PAC Protocol and the user base, because, what we decide to develop and push out as product-wise, it's only going to be adopted and used based off the Masternode owner's installation of it. And that's just speaking of the Masternode owners on their side, with it, already having server capabilities. Not saying that those without Masternode cannot install it. Of course they can, but there's obviously a monetization aspect of owning a Masternode with the rewards that you get. So that's something that would really be intriguing to, each Masternode owner, is if there's a product released by someone that wants to scale across PAC Protocol, is it something that I want to be supportive of? Because obviously more utility use for PAC is something that actually puts the digital asset into use, something that gets it out of wallets or gets it out of that HODL state, not necessarily as paying and using and liquidating, but putting it into use for utility, putting it into, when yanDNA comes out, one of the main uses of PAC is to be able to put a limit on your content that you want to release. Basically, you have inventory control on your content creations. And that's kind of the way that we envision using PAC, is not always, building gateways for you to spend it and get yourself out of the asset, the digital asset, but a way for you to interact with it internally on the network for uses that actually are needed, things that will be used.
So my thing is this, and this is the second part of it. You have a lot of people that come out with protocols that say that they're the next Ethereum killer, that they're going to take over for Ethereum. You have Cardano that says that constantly. Would you say, how much would we be able to handle? Like, Ethereum has a lot of traffic on it. How much, give me a percent of how much we would be able to handle as a protocol if we were to be a complement to Ethereum?
Well, if we were going to complement Ethereum, the first thing that would have to be compared is the amount of server resources required for the network to exist. To be running a full node for Ethereum, it's quite expensive. So obviously, the more things that are ran over PAC Protocol, more resources are then going to be required. So that is always and will always be the main thing that allows something to scale, allows it to be, to support as many projects as Ethereum chain does. It's the same answer as far as, PAC Protocol. As it grows and the resources dedicated to the network grows, that also allows the amount of traffic that's being used. But at the same time, that's the beauty of PAC Protocol versus Ethereum. It doesn't have to be adopted across the entire network for a product to scale, to be used. So it's something that kind of keeps it safe, is, each different use case or each different utility that is brought to PAC Protocol, it's at the mercy of the PAC masternodes, the owners, to adopt the additional installation, the additional software. So it would never really come to the point where every masternode has to upgrade their server requirements to keep up with PAC Protocol, because PAC masternodes are only responsible for keeping track of what occurs on the internal PAC Protocol network, such as transactions, proposals sent to the network, just all the stuff that's internal on PAC Protocol. So when the masternode owners are then given the opportunity to install additional software, they're upgrading their own server, their own minimum requirements to be able to support PAC Protocol and the additional software. So it's really endless, because the answer to that question is it's up to the Masternode owners to scale these projects, not the chain itself.
You know, I sit in these rooms and somebody asked that question, and I was like, I guess we would be able to take on like 20% of that traffic. But I said that you would probably go ahead and put me in my place and say it could be either less than that or more, a little bit more than that. Because there's always this topic of, you know, here comes the new Ethereum killer. Instead of like, you know, everybody working together and complementing or helping to build, it's always like, no, we're coming in here to go ahead and take over. So that was really like one of the things that I wanted to touch on in this room, because there's some people in this room that asked that question and I wanted it to be answered. So I appreciate it, Drew.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, I'd like to maybe extend that if my audio is coming through. I don't know if it's still working.
No, you're good. You're good on the audio.
Okay, it wasn't really popping up. But basically, yeah, I mean, I was just going to reiterate that the expansion of different utilities and different ideas, different projects that get brought to PAC Protocol, it's not something that's as easily as done as, you know, creating your own ERC20 token and then putting a project behind it. And now it's automatically supported by the Ethereum chain. You know, whether or not it gets used and adopted is another thing, but it's already there. It's already taking up space in the entire chain. That's why it's important to have a system to where, you know, you have a decentralized network that's capable of adopting different products and different use cases, depending on the person's choice at all.
There you go, Drew. You know, hopefully Drew answered you guys. You know, I see a few people that asked me that question while we were in this. You know, we're always in these spaces daily, and I get that question. You know, but you hear it from the horse's mouth. The man who works alongside with who I believe is one of the best devs out here, and you'll come to find out that that is true, and that is Yan down there. If you want, you can give him a follow. He probably won't answer you back. He doesn't answer me back. Russ, Mike, back to you.
Okay, bringing up the next questions here, and just some interesting statistics for people. Dogecoin and Bitcoin are proof of work. Dogecoin has 1,758 nodes. Bitcoin has 9,888 nodes. PAC is proof of stake, which has 18,794 nodes. We're close to cracking 19,000 there. Dash, for comparison, is a hybrid proof of work and proof of stake, and that has 4,500 nodes. So you can see the size of the PAC protocol network is substantial compared to some of these other projects, which really just leaves the door open for developers and for projects and for growth. But jumping back into the questions here, we had some more questions about upcoming partnerships, exchanges, and releases. The question that we can never ask, that we can never answer. Any response to that, David?
Well, we're continuing to work and talk with exchanges and with potential partners. We, you know, on a daily, I speak to about maybe 5 to 6 different protocols, and it has to fit. At the end of the day, it has to fit the PAC protocol ecosystem. Like, I'm not just going to, and you know, some in the team, I don't even think anybody disagrees with me on this one, but like, I'm not going to sign off on anything, and I don't think Drew will either. Not even I think, I know he won't, on a partnership which is just front facing. Like, we have this where, you know, okay, well, let's go ahead and do a deal with, you know, XYZ. We'll figure it out, you know, 2 years from now. But let's just sign this and just put it out there to the general public. What do we say 2 months later? Like, hey guys, can you give us an update? No, we don't have one. I can understand if we do like a, you know, a partnership where like, obviously, yeah, we need 6 months to go ahead and figure out exactly what we're going to do, how we can benefit their protocol and how they can benefit ours. But to just take on a partnership just because of the name, I think it does a disservice to the entire community that supports PAC protocol, because then you're just answering that question constantly. And as for the exchanges, I'm a guy that I'm gonna lean back and say, I don't. When Bitcoin came out, there weren't like really a lot of places that you could go to, but people figured out a way to go ahead and get their hands on Bitcoin. When people talk about exchanges, it's almost like, it does a disservice to the project. So like, oh, when's this top? When are you going to get into all the top 10 exchanges? When are you getting on this exchange and that exchange? Okay, so we get onto an exchange. Now what? Does that make our project better? That we're on an exchange? What is that the use case? I mean, to get onto an exchange? No, I don't believe so. Like, we've taken the time. Could we have been on top 10 exchanges? Yes. Have we taken the time to actually produce and work on creating a use case and creating products before we go ahead and jump into that avenue? Yes. Like, I'm not going to go on to an exchange just to go ahead and, no disrespect, I'm sorry, just to satisfy people to say, oh, they gone onto the exchange, now go to the, it's always, and now what's the next one? So nobody's ever satisfied with the initial one. Everybody wants to know what's the next one. No. Right now we're going to make sure that we finish up, we continue to build great products, not good products, but great products, as you will see when yanDNA comes out. And we will jump on exchanges. We have a top 10 that we're going to be added on to. We can't talk about it, obviously, because of NDAs. But we are working. We are constantly talking. People are interested in listing us. It'll happen. But we are just way more focused on building rather than just getting a quick marketing kick and also just throwing ourselves onto an exchange, which means, honestly, it means nothing to us personally. I speak for myself when I say that. I don't know what Drew has to say.
And we got about 60 seconds left, guys.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add to that is that, the conversations are definitely there. They have been happening. And like David just said, we like to build out our products, give it into the hands of the people first. And then, obviously exchanges do allow easier onboarding and off ramping for different individuals, depending on where you like to trade at or where you're comfortable trading at or acquiring different digital assets. That's understandable. We understand that part of it. But it's more the fact of what David was talking about is we like to focus on what we're building, get it out there, and let the product speak for itself, especially ones that draw in utility usage of the digital asset rather than just a means for monetary value of or store value, things like that.
One last, I know, Russ, I know we're on a timer here. Wanted to ask this question to Drew. Drew, can you this comes from the PAC community. Can you elaborate about the Flare partnership that we currently have? The things that we can talk about for the time being, I guess, and I don't know if
it's a bit limited.
Yeah.
It's a bit limited because we have things signed and in place, so we can't really talk about everything. But it's definitely going to be a play on, like I was mentioning before, the Masternode owners and adoption, choice of adoption, things like that. But being a price provider for the Flare network, submitting prices, you're delegating your Flare votes to submit these prices to the FTSO validator. And so it's a way that Flare token holders can get involved by delegating their votes for the price provider. In turn, if you know the documentation on that, there is a reward that Flare puts out for the correct price, the winners of those chosen for that. And that's a way that the one that we submit to the Flare network can be decentralized by all the different Masternode owners of PAC Protocol. They can contribute to delegating their votes for price providing to the Flare network by wrapping their Flare. Their documentation is a lot more in depth than I can go into it in under the short time, but it's a way that people can help provide prices to the Flare network using the PAC Protocol's decentralization, which is a great help to their network as well, as we talked about the need for that.
And George, you had a few last comments there?
Yes. Thank you, Russ. And thank you to everybody listening. It's been an absolute pleasure to sit here and answer any questions you guys may have. We are public facing. We're always available. I just want to take a last second to say shout out to Megan Scott, who has joined our executive team at PAC. A lot more women and females, and join our space. We have room available. We want your voices. We want your insights on. So anybody out there, and probably our HR people are going to be killing me here, but PAC is hiring. So if there's talent out there, be sure to reach out to us. So thank you all for listening.
And I just want to end it on. I also want to say thank you so much to obviously the PAC community. You guys are awesome. You've hung in there for a long time. So big shout outs to you guys, and shout outs to the Doge community, the XRP community, Stellar. Like, all you guys have been awesome in terms of supporting the PAC protocol ecosystem. We do appreciate you, and the partners, our partners. Thank you so much for also coming together to the table and supporting our ecosystem. And we're happy, I know, to go ahead and support yours.
Well, thanks everybody. We appreciate everyone tuning in. And just for details, if anyone is interested, our next news that's being released is we're releasing a tutorial video for Yan Safe. And so you can watch for that being dropped early next week. So thanks, gentlemen. David, Drew, George, appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ross, and thank you everyone for being here, tuning in, getting a little more information on what we're doing, and I'm happy to be here. Maybe we can do these more often, guys.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. You guys have a good day. We'll go ahead and pop the regular Crypto Fireside chat up in the next half an hour. So, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully, somebody learned something from today's conversation, and we will have more of these Q&As, I guess, on a monthly basis. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone. See ya.